The reported chemical attack in Syria came almost exactly 1 year after President Obama's Red Line speech, in which he defined chemical attacks as the trigger for more American intervention there. Senator John McCain has said the administration has done virtually nothing yet in response to Syria. The senator is joining me now to discuss more and the latest developments that we're learning out of Syria. Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I want to get right to it because these are
Thank you.
You've seen the video, you've seen the pictures coming out of Syria. Have you seen or heard any evidence that convinces you the Assad regime did stage a chemical attack?
Well, it's obvious from the pictures when you see the dead bodies of children and women and others stacked up. And the fact is, it's already been established that he has used it before. So, as I said, it shouldn't surprise us when we use it. He's used it again. It's horrific and outrageous. And the president a year ago said there would be, if they crossed a red line, that there would be response. We know now, of course, that they've already used it. I'm sure and confident that they used it again, and they will use it again unless they are reined in and prevented from doing so. And by the way, this gives a blank check to other brutal dictators around the world if they want to use chemical weapons and weapons of mass destruction as well.
Well, after that, the administration acknowledged that they had crossed the red line. They started supplying some additional arms to the opposition. What more do you think the administration should do?
In a matter of a couple of days, with using standoff weapons, we could take out their runways, take out the 40 or 50 aircraft that they're using, which is dominating the battlefields and the towns and the cities, and we can supply the right kind of weapons to the rebels, establish a no-fly zone by moving Patriot missiles up to the border. This can be done very easily. That's what General McCAIN and the Institute for the Study of War says, despite what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs has said, which is absolutely outrageous and ridiculous.
But Senator, that would include a major escalation of U.S. involvement. You know that Americans at this point are very war-weary, and they have very little appetite to get involved in another foreign conflict. Do you ignore that sentiment and just move on and get involved?
Well, Kate, first of all, there would be no boots on the ground. We would use standoff weapons, just as the Israelis have 4 times as they've taken out targets inside Syria. We would not put a single life at risk. And isn't it time, Kate? These horrific pictures of these people, over 100,000 have been massacred, with Hezbollah, with thousands of troops there, with the Iranians on the ground, with the Russians supplying them with equipment. And these people are fighting for their lives, and I know them. I've been in Syria. Yes, jihadists are flowing in from all over the place, but there's still a majority that are people that we should support. Where does this stop? When does the United States, with very little cost, stand up for these people and stop this horrific? You can't look at those pictures without being deeply moved. Are we going to just let that go on?
Do you think this is the tipping point when you see these horrific pictures, and if proven, this would be the second and a major escalation in chemical weapon use in Syria?
No, I think it was proven that he's used it before, so it shouldn't surprise us when it is used again. And he will use it again if he feels there's not going to be any retaliation. And when the President of the United States says that if he uses these weapons, that it would be a, quote, red line and a game changer, he now sees that as a green light. And that is the word of the President of the United States, can no longer be taken seriously, as it isn't throughout the entire region.
Well, I want to talk to you about another chaotic situation in the region. You told I'm talking about Egypt now. You sat down with Candy Crowley and you told her that the U.S. has lost credibility with regard to Egypt. And since that conversation, the administration has quietly put a hold on aid to Egypt, though still resisting, calling it a coup. Is that enough to regain credibility in Egypt?
of course, we don't know what they have done and what they haven't done. No, there's no credibility because we know that the administration, at the president's direction, called the Egyptians and said, if you overthrow Morsi, that we will have to, because of the law, consider that a coup. They overthrew Morsi, and they refused to call it a coup. In other words, we're asking them to observe the rule of law, and we are not observing our laws. Morsi was a terrible president. I have no brief for the Muslim Brotherhood and the way that they governed, but when the United States of America writes laws, we expect the United States to abide by those laws, and obviously, again, the generals are not impressed because we didn't come through with our word. If we weren't going to do that, we shouldn't have said it. And now we have hundreds of people killed in the streets of Cairo.
And so what do you think the administration is doing then?
Well, look, we know that the Saudis and Gulf states are pouring billions into Egypt, and they probably will do that for some time, but not forever. But if we call it a coup, their military equipment, their helicopters, their tanks, and all that are dependent on our spare parts. Mm-hmm. They are dependent on our supplies of weapons. We can affect whether the IMF will provide them with loans or not. Tourism is a backbone of their economy, and so is business. We have influence that we can exercise, but when we don't exercise influence, we have no influence.
One situation where also influence is a big question, I want to just get your quick take on it, is NSA leaker Edward Snowden. He's still in Russia. Nothing's really changed since he was able to get asylum in Russia. Do you think at this point the United States has lost any chance of getting him back and holding him accountable?
No, I don't. Again, Mr. Putin is behaving in a fashion which he has been for a long time, and is really sticking his thumb in our eye. I think that's obvious. Mr. Snowden violated his oath of office, and I don't think he's going to be coming back to the United States. He wants to stay in that transparent, human rights observing country of Russia. But the point again here is, where is congressional oversight? Why didn't we know some of the things that we knew that had to be revealed by Mr. Snowden? That's a question that needs to be asked, and we're now finding out that we need better congressional oversight and a lot more awareness on the part of the American people. A lot of young Americans believe Mr. Snowden is a hero. I don't.
Senator John McCain, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for taking time to speak with us. You've got a lot on your plate once you get back to Washington. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Kate.